battleground states. 4 state counties prepare the polls with added staff. And the deals and duds you'll find at the store during the month of November.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Election day is tomorrow, and the candidates are doing what they can today to make their final pitches to voters. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping your first 7 minutes, Joe Biden and President Trump plan to spend their last day of campaigning rallying supporters in battleground states. The president is kicking off his final day in North Carolina, where he's predicting a red wave of support at the polls tomorrow. He's holding 5 rallies today in 4 battleground states. While Biden will hold 3 rallies in Ohio and Pennsylvania, more than 94 million Americans have already voted, and both campaigns are already fighting in the courts over mail-in ballots, which could sway the election outcome. Well, most election officials will have more than enough help tomorrow, with a huge turnout expected at polling locations and extra precautions against COVID-19 in place. County clerks across the country knew early on they would need extra help. Fortunately, the push for recruiting more assistance was met with an overwhelming response. One organization that focuses on recruitment, Power the Polls, aimed to get 250,000 Americans, and more than 700,000 signed up. Here in the 4 states, one example of that surge is in Jasper County. Jasper County Clerk Charlie Davis says, given the nature of this year, tomorrow is an opportunity for these poll workers to do more than implement the democratic process.
But the exciting part is the community aspect of it. For you to be able to work at a poll and potentially see 1,000-2,000 voters come into your polls during the day, and some of them you haven't maybe seen for an extended period of time, especially because of COVID. People haven't seen each other, so this is going to give an opportunity for people to reconnect. Of course, nobody talks politics at the polls, especially the poll workers. So to be able to see Aunt Sue for the first time since March, maybe it's going to be something that's a little exciting for us. But the community aspect is what is great.
While there are citizens who work the polls every election cycle, Davis says there are many newcomers this time around. That's great to see. Well, if you have to wait in line tomorrow, the weather will definitely be in your favor. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Well, and even if you got to do something and you're in line today, it's not going to be too bad of an afternoon considering where we started. Remember those freeze warnings we had down to the south?
Yes.
Well, check out this big difference that we've experienced from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. As we now sit, it's 63 degrees. We were talking about temperatures as low as 29 earlier this morning, so a nice little rebound as everybody's made it into the low 60s. Now, we're not going to have much of a difference here, but an entirely clean Skywatch storm tracker throughout all of the Midwest. Average high for this time of year, 66, just a skosh below that for the afternoon hours. But look at what Future Track has in store, as Tanya alluded to. What an election Tuesday we're setting up for. A whole bunch of sunshine. We'll see 70s up on the board, and then mild temperatures overnight as well. A 7-day forecast that begins with the warming trend on Tuesday and carries us all the way into the weekend. No shot of thunderstorm activity until we get to Sunday. Now that's interesting, because at that point in time, we're going to be very, very close to dropping down below our average when we talk about, middle of November and whatnot, for where we should be precipitation-wise. So once again, we continue to ebb and flow with the amount of rain that we've had. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we're going to talk about the national perspective when it comes to what we're going to see on Election Tuesday. And also, too, where are we on our rain? Now that we know that we're going to go about 7 consecutive days of dry weather, that also means a little increased fire risk as well.
Yeah, we've had our break, and we're going to pretty soon get back to
now we're going to dry right back out.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, this year's election is not just about the White House. Republicans are also fighting to keep control of the U.S. Senate. Democrats are trying to overcome the GOP's 53-47 majority to take full control of Congress. Nearly twice as many Republican senators are up for re-election this year, and more than 1/3 of them are in competitive races. Nancy Cordes has the latest.
On the eve of Election Day, it's not just the presidential race that has Republicans nervous.
We turn this state around.
Senators in formerly safe states are struggling too. In Georgia, Republican David Perdue is running neck and neck with a 33-year-old Democrat, John Ossoff.
And you shouldn't do everything that your handlers in Washington tell you to, because you'll lose your soul along the way, Senator.
After that moment went viral last week, Purdue canceled their final debate, opting for a campaign rally with the president instead. In North Carolina, Republican Senator Tom Tillis has trailed his Democratic challenger, Cal Cunningham, for months in what is now the most expensive race in U.S. history. Cunningham admitted to an extramarital affair, and it still didn't change the polls.
And he's been untruthful and dishonorable.
Martha, come up just fast. Quick.
In Arizona, John McCain's former Senate seat could also go blue. Republican Senator Martha McSally being criticized by former astronaut Mark Kelly for the GOP's response to coronavirus.
Senator, you would understand this as a pilot. You guys did step one of the emergency procedure, and then you didn't do anything else. And that is a colossal failure.
And then there's Maine's Susan Collins, one of the Senate's most senior Republicans.
I don't regret any of those votes.
She's being hammered for siding with the president in a state he lost by 3 points.
And time and again making excuses for Trump's behavior.
Democratic voters have poured money, even into reach states like South Carolina.
They're killing us financially.
Now, Lindsey Graham's battle with Democrat Jamie Harrison is considered a toss-up in a state Graham won 6 years ago by 17 points.
And I wish the senator would take the urgency he has for the Supreme Court nomination to put that into actually doing a bill to address the needs of the folks in South Carolina.
Democrats are playing defense in a couple of spots. For instance, they're very worried about Senator Doug Jones of Alabama holding on to his seat. But in general, of the 13 states that we consider battlegrounds, 11 of those seats are currently held by Republicans. And even Senate leader Mitch McConnell says his chances of retaining control of the Senate are 50-50 at best. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, Money Talks.
I'm Stacey Johnson. Well, here we are in November, the shopping month. But what are the best deals and the worst duds out at the stores this month? A list ahead on Money Talks News.
And later, we've got election hand pies coming up in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Looking for a bargain on everything from HD TVs to clothing? Well, our money expert Stacey Johnson shows us some of the best and worst things to buy in November.
Every month there are shopping deals and duds out at the stores. And every month we turn to partner site Deal News for the best and worst buys. First on the November bargain list, appliances. From vacuums to refrigerators, this is the month for deals. If your taste turns more to high tech, November is also the month for budget laptops, 4K TVs, prior generation Apple products, and video games. November is also the time to shop for clothes. Some online retailers will start their Black Friday apparel deals before Black Friday. You'll also find great deals on Cyber Monday. That's a look at your November deals. Now, what about November duds? Things you don't want to be buying this month. Deal News says to wait till December for gift card deals. Other things to avoid include exercise equipment, toys, and high-end computers. Of course, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Those are your 3 special shopping days in November, and we're going to keep you apprised of the best deals and those duds for those that are shopping on those days. All you need to do is go to moneytalksnews.com and do a search for deals. For Money Talks News, I'm Stacey Johnson.
As Stacey said, he's got lots more information and links at his website. To get there, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on the Money Talks link. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
There's no better way to show your patriotism than to get out and vote. And we've got just the thing to get any procrastinator off the couch and to the polls.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Indeed, it is November, but with the months turning here over the weekend, be remiss if I didn't pass along a wonderful picture taken of the blue moon, the second full moon in the month of October, by our good friend Emmett Sullivan that posted that on Facebook. Now, Emmett, nice enough to point out, no, the moon wasn't actually blue. What he did was a little finagling there with the white balance to give it that bluish hue, but it certainly is a gorgeous shot, and Emmett, we greatly appreciate it. Now that we turn the calendar into November, let's go ahead and talk about our average high and also precipitation. 66, about where we should be cruising this week. We'll go Monday a little bit below it, and then Tuesday all the way through Sunday, little bit above it. But this is what I want to point out right here, because it's going to be such a dry week, despite the fact that we're above our annual precipitation from Jan 1 where we'd normally be. Wait till Sunday rolls around, probably going to find ourselves back below that before we get our next round of thunderstorm activity, and it's very indicative of the relative humidity that we see right now. We're talking dry to the point of almost dangerously dry. Not only us, you're hard-pressed to find really any green throughout the United States, as we've seen these levels slip below 40% for much of the 4 states. Highly unusual for the noon hour. You know, even on a very dry day, we usually get that in between about 2 and 5 p.m. So combine that with the air mass that's sweeping in from Canada right there. Even though we see it come off the Pacific, gets up here, dries out, gathers the cold, drops down to the southeast. That's why our temperatures were so cold this morning that even resulted in freeze warnings. And it's interesting because while our mid-level jet stream drops in from the northwest, look at where our wind comes in. It actually comes in at the surface from the southwest. And so it's kind of like a double whammy there as far as how dry it's keeping us, because we've got that dry air mass. Then when you combine the wind, we're seeing close to 30-mile-an-hour gusts there in Chanute, Independence, Joplin's last one at 24. That's what presents that limited fire risk. No, we don't have any red flag warnings or anything like that, but best to be safe and really not burn anything outside. Now, nice part about it is it's dry, but it is clear as can be. Reason being, big high pressure hanging over us right here, and you can tell from the color gradients how pressure gets a little lower as we step off here toward the Rockies, but everything for the next couple of days, even this right here, going to stall out really before it gets to Wichita. So we're going to have a whole bunch of sunshine, not only for today, but all the way into the weekend as well. 63 is where we stand outside the mothership. Good 30-degree rebound from where we stood earlier this morning, where we had some freezing temperatures as low as 28, 29 degrees up to the north. Fort Scott and Nevada now sitting at 61. We had freeze warnings in northeast Oklahoma, and Miami now able to make it all the way up to 63. Very quiet throughout the entire Midwest, minus the far northeast. Remember, month of November also considered hurricane season, and we've got Hurricane Eta down headed toward Nicaragua, Category 3 right now. And if we look at the forecast track, expected to become a 4 before it makes landfall either Tuesday or Wednesday. This would only be the 4th Category 4 to make landfall in Nicaragua in the month of November. As far as combination of 4 and 5s, it'd only be the 5th one to make landfall in November in Nicaragua. That dates back to 1932. It's 2020. What else should we expect, right? As we progress through our day, we'll go ahead and throw some mid-60s up there. I'm going to go ahead and average the temperature on the 7-day forecast, about 63, 64 though, and then overnight, very, very mild. Let's go ahead and talk Election Tuesday here. Waking up tomorrow, hey, that's more tolerable than the freeze warnings we saw, as we're in the mid to high 40s. And then we're peaking out. We'll throw some 70s up here on Election Day. If you got to be outside for any reason, it's going to be glorious. And as I said, you don't even see cloud cover there until Wednesday. As a matter of fact, Tanya, look at this nationwide. You know, we talk about how Mother Nature can play a role on Election Day. There's hardly anything going on. Even warmer temperatures that are going to sweep across the west and the Rockies and go through the Midwest down to the southeast. Going to be an absolutely delightful Tuesday with warm temperatures all the way into the weekend.
Beautiful. Just
perfecto.
Beautiful.
Be nice. And by Sunday, we're going to be looking at the precip numbers going, about time for some rain.
Wow. Well, it's going to be a beautiful week. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, we take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Specialist Walt Fredrickson in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Thayer, Kansas, joined the 377th Infantry Regiment in 1943. He was stationed throughout Central Europe, in Rhineland, and in Germany during World War II. Fredrickson earned the Bronze Star for Valor for his service. Specialist Walt Fredrickson, we thank you, our 4-state hero. One way to show off your patriotism is to go out and vote. And today, Howard shares a recipe that you can pass out to family and friends as they head to the polls tomorrow. We're making Election Day hand pies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
After a year of listening to political bashing and endless promises, the election is only hours away. So no matter who you're supporting, I urge you to get out and vote tomorrow. As a simple way to remind your friends, neighbors, and coworkers to hit the polls, we've created an all-American fruit-filled hand pie that's guaranteed to be a winner. We start by unrolling a refrigerated pie crust and cutting out circles with a can, drinking glass, or cookie cutter. Then we place a spoonful of cherry pie filling in the center of half of them and blueberry filling on the others. This way, no matter what party someone favors, you're good to go. Now, to the circles we made from another pie crust, we cut a star in the center of each one using a paring knife. Now we place these over the filling and seal the edges with a fork before popping them in the oven. When these come out of the oven with the filling bubbling hot and the crust as golden as can be, it doesn't matter which candidate you vote for. These are true winners. The recipe for our Election Day ham pies is online now, which will give you plenty of time to make them before casting your vote. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today I'm eating both cause, ooh, it's so good.
Those look so tasty. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Have to worry about those freeze warnings we have this morning for the rest of the week. Nice thing is it's going to be mid-60s later on today, mild overnight headed into Election Day, and look at that warming trend. We're going to be above average all the way into the weekend. Now, over to Dow Quick with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Today at 5, a new study finds more than half of Americans are feeling stressed about Election Day. From the election to the pandemic, meditation apps are seeing a spike in usage as people look for ways to cope with their stress. Plus, used car sales are on the rise and a lot of buyers are avoiding dealerships, having the vehicles delivered straight to their homes. But con artists are capitalizing on this new way to buy a car. We have the latest warning from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, we're going to speak with voters waiting to vote at the Jasper County Courthouse and why some have chosen not to vote, and the company that owns North Park Mall files for bankruptcy. Hope you join us at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.